2022 Genesis GV70 2.5 all-wheel drive Advance. I've been longing to review this vehicle ever since I reviewed the twin-turbo V6 variant of this same vehicle. I found that twin-turbo V6 just to be completely unnecessary and awfully expensive for what this vehicle offers. And so here I am with a turbo 4-cylinder, and I'm here to tell you that this is the way to go. This 2.5 liter turbo model comes in at about 15 grand less than the 3.5 turbo model that I reviewed last year. And you might be thinking, oh Kirk, this is a luxury car, you want to have power. Well, this 2.5 has plenty of torque and power for my daily usage in the city. I mostly drive in the city picking kids up from school and such, and this has all the power that I need and more. 311 pound-feet of torque and 300 horsepower mated to the pretty darn good 8-speed automatic. As I come to the stop here though, this is really one of the few Achilles heels of the GV70, and I had this not only with the 3.5 turbo version of this model, I had it with the GV80 as well. And when you come to a stop, a lot of things go wrong in my opinion. The brake pedal is very, very light, and that's not a good thing because it is not very linear. So as you get into it, you get like this hard braking sensation, and then as you slow down, the transmission starts downshifting and cuts into the predictability of your braking force, and it just doesn't sit well with me. I hate the brakes in this vehicle. Even though they stop the vehicle really, really well, it's just you can't tell how it's stopping, and you get jerkiness as you're slowing down as the transmission cuts in. I don't like it, and I'm gonna stop complaining about it right here, because if you can get over that, the rest of the vehicle is really, really good. And the styling, just like the 3.5 turbo, is really, really good. We have a lot more chrome, as this is more of a luxury package instead of like a sport performance package. And you have a chrome strip at the bottom of the doors, which I typically hate chrome, but I think it's actually executed really well here. Genesis has done a good job with the styling overall for the GV70. And to me, it still looks better than the larger, more expensive GV80. The proportions are right on this. The sportiness is there. It looks great. On the inside is also where the GV70 excels. I mean, I'm not a big fan of brown interiors. This brown interior though, I could actually live with. Real deep, dark chocolate. I'll put what the actual interior name is, but also we have the optional trim in here that looks kind of strange and cheesy at first with the strange lines and the red line in the middle, but it is an indicator of the skyline of the mountains in Korea. So I love how luxury brands, if and when they're able to incorporate their heritage into the vehicle, it makes it that much more special to me. The seats are comfortable. I don't have a thigh extender here, unfortunately, but it hasn't been bothering me at all. The user interface is really, really good. I love this small touchscreen in here for the heated and ventilated seats. Also unique to Hyundai's and Genesis is you have them high, medium, and low settings for the automatic fans. So even though I don't have manual fan buttons on this screen, I have the automatic high, medium, and low, so I really appreciate that. Heated steering wheel, heated and ventilated seats on this model. The only thing that seems out of place in here, for at least in terms of quality control, are these buttons right here. They seem like they're taken out of like a Hyundai model. They just feel cheap to me. The center stack for your controls with the rotary dial, not my favorite, but it is more convenient because the touchscreen is so far out of reach that you have to lean forward if you want to use it. So most of the time I'm using the rotary dial. I love this base screen here. The big 14-inch screen looks really, really good. And then I love using the rotary dial just to get to Android Auto, even though it takes up half the screen here. It still looks good, and the most important information of the screen is closest to me, so I do appreciate that. The Lexicon sound system in here is outstanding. A+, I would give it. Maybe not the deepest bass or just extreme volume like you see in other luxury models, but in terms of sound quality and making me happy, the sound system does it. So if you guys can spring for the Lexicon sound system in here, it's excellent. And the same thing with the GV70 3.5 is that this has a massive panel sunroof. Unfortunately, it's tinted so dark that like it took, like I didn't realize until a day or two later driving this that it has a panel roof, because the amount of light that it lets in is so minimal. And that's just a disappointment, because one of the benefits of a sunroof is to let in a lot of sun, brighten up in the interior, but the tent on this is so dark, I can just look up straight into the sun and be fine. So that's something that they could fix, or maybe give us a variable dimming panoramic roof in the future. And I have seen some people dog on this steering wheel. I love this steering wheel. I love steering wheels that have a lot of space at the bottom I can just rest my hand on, just like this. So my right arm resting on the armrest, my left arm resting on the armrest on the door, with my hand sitting on the steering wheel. I really like this steering wheel, even more so over the sport design steering wheel and the other GV70 I drove. Leather is super high quality. It has a really nice thickness, girthiness to the steering wheel. As you guys know, I like that girth on the steering wheel. Paddle shifters, I haven't used once. I don't plan on using them. That's just the sad reality. Most modern cars is, yeah, paddle shifters. No one uses them, especially in a not so sporty car like this. In the backseat of this vehicle, I don't have like the digital climate control that I had on the $65,000 GV70, and that's perfectly fine. That's completely unnecessary. Rear legroom is still limited here in this model, just like it was in the more expensive one. I do have rear sunshades. I like that feature. That's something you often have to spend a lot of money on competitive brands to get those rear sunshades, so I love that feature. No USB-Cs in this car. That just blows my mind. You have the super modern luxury SUV. Everything is USB-A. I have two USB-As in the back. Technically two USB-As up here in the front. One is for the Android Auto, which is not wireless. So that is like definitely a negative in my book. Now, just like other Genesis products I've driven, they're all very quiet, no exception here in the 2.5 turbo. And as I turn on my blinker here, it reminds me that I have rear view or blind spot view monitor is what it's called. So the screen where my tachometer is transforms into a camera to show the blind spot where the blinker is indicating to. So I love that feature. On the left side, you have analog needles for your speedometer and fuel gauge. The speedometer is kind of hard to read, even though I love the aesthetics of it. I love traditional analog gauges. I can go either for digital gauges, but the analog gauge here just looks so much better, high quality, than the digital tachometer on the right. Fuel economy, I've driven this 216 miles mixed. I was on the highway quite a bit as well. I'm getting 23 miles per gallon, which lines up pretty good with the EPA estimates. I'm gonna get this SVT Mustang a little bit of room in front of us, roll into the throttle, and the torque is immediate, and I'm already up to speed with the SVT in front of me. And even though the analog speedometer is not the easiest to read with the small numbers and the lack of, you know, odd intervals, there's no like 55s or even 50s, it's just 20, 40, 60, 80, etc. I do have the digital speedometer, which I don't want to use all the time. Since I don't have a heads-up display in this particular model, I pretty much am forced to keep the digital tachometer or the digital speedometer up all the time, which I don't want. I would rather have my fuel economy up there all the time. So that's something I struggle with in this particular model. Ambient lighting is also pretty solid in here. You can customize it, tons of different colors. I like purple, my kids like purple, so I just leave it on that. Another thing about this vehicle that's actually a little bit better than the twin turbo V6 is the auto start stop feature. So when you come to a stoplight or stop sign, the engine likes to turn off. The issue I had with the twin turbo V6 is that it was really disruptive and it shook the whole car side to side, especially when it turned on. It just kind of ruined the luxury experience. With the inline 4-cylinder, since it doesn't have banks of cylinders off the center line of the vehicle, it doesn't shake the car as much. It's still noticeable, but it's completely acceptable for this prestige of a vehicle to have that mild turning off and on feature with this 4-cylinder. So yeah, it's even smoother than the V6 in that regard, which is a good thing. Of course, you can disable it with a button here to the far left, but since it is smoother, I haven't once overridden the auto start stop feature, which is saying something because I could not stand it on the twin turbo V6 GV70. With the pull of a lever, you can fold down the rear seats to give you more cargo space, but even the space behind the second row is really generous here in this model. And coming to the stop, one more thing about this vehicle, about the driving quality that I don't like, is that once you hit a stop, you still have that teetering effect, that back and forth, forward and back at just about every stoplight. It's not as bad as it is in the GV80, for example, but it's still there, and it's not as noticeable as it is in the GV80, with that being a taller, heavier vehicle. But here in the GV70, you still have that teetering effect. So when you add the unpredictability of the braking as the transmission cuts in, and you have the teetering effect, bringing this vehicle to a stop is a chore. But what's not a chore, an absolute pleasure, is wringing out this 4-cylinder. Something you can't really do on the twin turbo V6 because it's a rocket ship. And this is the perfect power for this vehicle, and for most everyday usage is the 300 horse. Pedal to the metal. There's 70. There's 80 as I'm about ready to run into the back of this pickup truck here. So yes, it's the perfect power combination, I think, for this vehicle. The twin turbo V6 was too much power for me for my daily needs, and in order to use it, you're putting yourself into trouble. But it gives more credibility to the Genesis line to have a super potent V6 twin turbo powertrain. Gives them more, credibility with the Germans especially. But out here on the freeway, going about 70 miles an hour, wind noise is really, really minimal. Road noise is very minimal, and the quality of this particular road I'm on right now is notoriously loud. So this vehicle is doing a great job just keeping me insulated from the loudness of what can be a loud experience here out on the highway. Passing power now, quick downshift around this Tacoma. There's 90. Like, there was only one instance when I was driving my parents back from the airport. I had one kid with me, 2 parents, luggage. There's only one instance where I wanted more power, and I probably shouldn't have been doing what I was doing anyways. So yeah, this engine is a peach for this particular car and allows you to save over $10,000 over the twin turbo V6 model. Set the radar cruise control to 70. Steering assist is on, which it doesn't need to do anything here because Florida's just straight roads 99% of the time. Fuel economy gauge is telling me I'm getting probably around 30 miles per gallon going 70 miles per hour. The computer's telling me I have about 140 miles left of range on top of the 220. So you're talking about 350, 360 miles of range on average for this 2.5 liter GV70. And we're gonna go off the freeway here. We're gonna see what it does because it's going to speed me back up to 70. Remember, I have cruise control set at 70 here, and it should bring me to a complete stop. And it senses the Jeep in front of me and the truck in front of that. So let's see what it does. It's a bit scary as I'm trusting this vehicle to do this, coming from a stop from 70, because once the cars are away from in front of me, this would accelerate back to 70. So there it is. I didn't touch the brake pedal once, and we have come to a complete stop. Very impressive. Oh, that's a beautiful LX 470 there. Looking clean, looking brand new. Maybe one dent on the front fender, not bad for a 20-year-old truck. So final thoughts of the GV70 2.5 liter. This is the way to go. Interior is pretty much just as good as the $65,000 one that I drove. Driving dynamics are just about the same, not quite as much top end power, but it's perfect for everyday usage. The right around 300 horse to me is the happy medium, and you get better fuel economy while saving money on the smaller engine option here. I haven't said anything about the wheels, but I actually like these 19-inch wheels quite a bit. 21s on the 3.5 turbo were definitely overkill, and the smaller wheels in this particular model definitely help it to ride a little bit smoother, more luxurious. The two biggest downfalls of this vehicle is the unpredictable brake feel and brake pedal and braking force, and also the limited rear leg space for the passengers in the back. Outside of that, if you can live with those things, this is one of the best luxury crossovers on the market. Now that I've driven the 2.5 liter, this is definitely the way to go. Save your money, and you still have a fantastic luxury SUV that rides great, drives great, looks great, feels great, and is just a great package overall. I'll end it there. More of a short review today, probably compared to my 3.5 liter twin turbo. That's perfectly fine. I actually have enjoyed myself in this model, this cheaper model, more than the twin turbo V6. But I'll see you guys down below. What are your questions about the GV70 2.5 liter turbo? If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe for more Genesis news and reviews. PS, Genesis could be coming out with a fully electric version of this here in the United States by the end of 2022. Man, I would love to be able to drive that, see what it's like compared to this really excellent 2.5 turbo. But I'll end it there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.